the floor is now opened. We have half an hour for engagement with the panelists, and also I think the panelists might want to give the floor an opportunity to ask a couple questions before responding. So please, when you speak, give your name and your affiliation.
Hi, my name is Claire. I'm a reporter with DevX, and I'm wondering about the aid policy toward Haiti right now, because obviously after the earthquake there was a huge upsurge in aid, but I haven't really heard that much in the past year or two about how the flows are going. Whether there's been a huge drying up of funds and flows, or what? What are the major policies of the banks like IDB and how they're still addressing Haiti and aid?
I want to point out that we have a panel coming up on donor and government and Haiti response, but I'm sure the panelists here would want to respond. Here.
Hello, my name is Courtney, and I am with the University of Maryland. I think this question might be geared most towards Jackson and his work with FRACA. I was wondering, in light of many of these evictions of camps and communities, what steps or actions, if any, are available for those individuals and communities that have been evicted to take? Are there any options for them, and has there been any success in kind of raising awareness about what is going on, and what would you recommend for others who want to bring further awareness to that?
My name is Jean-Baptiste Saint-Jolin, coordinator of CA. In fact, it is not a question, it's rather a series of reflection, perhaps some elements of reflection. First of all, I'd like to say that the issue of choice, of construction, housing, and there are a lot of things behind it. I remember, for instance, when I was a little boy in Haiti, I had a house with a door that is only a window in front of it. Now, with the new political responsibility, with the level of insecurity that you have in Haiti, is it because we have a government? Isn't it because we have a government that is? The second thing I'd like to say is we have a mission, which is called MINUSTA, United Nations Mission for Stability of Haiti. There's a MINUSTA that is there, which hasn't given much result with insecurity, political instability. Can we stabilize? Are we destabilizing what we have to build something else? Good morning. My name is. I have some questions. The first is for teacher Eli, Professor Eli. Is there a speech right now in the community, in the civil society of Haiti, in relationship with the organization, when it comes to housing? The second question is for Adis, who was talking about the difference between the legislation and the Haitian reality, the lack of legislation. Is there a speech in terms of the language that we'll have to use for a no Haitian constitution in the context of the code, or when it comes to regulations, when it comes to construction? Because they were built by post-colonial governments. Can they now create a different language that talks to Haitians? but really, they have to use the Haitian language, the Creole language, for these new legislations.
One last in this
Dernière
round.
question, on va le bailler là.
Bonjour tout le monde.
Good morning, everyone.
Statement.
It's just a statement, une déclaration. Juste une déclaration. We respect the position of the panelists. We even appreciate listening. As people who are working for the government, it is interesting for us to hear what those who are administering, those who are running agencies think of what we're doing. There is a different point of view, which is our point of view, on the government point of view, the state. We see things a certain way, we understand, we even agree, and I'm almost certain that what you're saying is true, but there's also a different point of view. We're not going to give it here in respect to what they're saying, so we don't get into a logic, but we'd like to say that there is a different point of view, and it would be interesting for you to hear this other different point of view.
I think that we should perhaps hear the other point of view, but what I want to suggest is that we have we had four interventions before yours and 5 questions. I wonder if the panel want to reflect on those, and I think in fairness we should give you an opportunity to make any observations you want from the point of view of your own government intervention. Yes. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to try to answer, to think what I think of what you talk about, and I think that indeed building what as they do answers to a certain situation. I can say that since Duvalier, there was an issue of when they wanted to battle somebody, they burned your house. So when the house was in gingerwood, was in wood. So that's one of the reasons why people left building with gingerbread and built with cement. It was more for security. Because there's a lot of other issues also, air circulation. There's, for instance, that comes when you build housing with cement. For instance, in the neighborhoods of Port-au-Prince, they used to say that housing in wood is it's a tool for politicians. This is why, but at the same time, for other people, building in concrete, it is a different level. Some people look for housing in cement. It's like a social promotion, and many times it's a question of education. Though many people don't understand. We're going to find, for instance, near the beach, near the water, there's a difference between housing, what they call kaipai. It is better because it's cooler. It's done with with leaves, for instance. They call it kaipai, but it looks like a poor people's home. So other people would build housing with cement because it shows them that they have social promotion, that they have more money. So if we're going to go on, there's a like Professor Magua is saying about money. They ask you where you live, but they don't ask you where your garden is. In other words, they ask you. In other words, you have to do everything that you can so people can see that you have a beautiful house. So it's a question of it's a question of education that we have to do. We have to educate people when it comes to this issue. At the university, we're starting to notice that, and we are trying to see how we can influence people differently because those conditions. Because when it comes to hygiene conditions, for instance, having windows in the house, for instance. Well, of course, I'm not an engineer, but we are at least beginning to discuss these issues with those engineers, and we're trying to see if we can talk with those engineers as sociologists ourselves to see how we can help people do better. Now, when it comes to the question of housing, urban housing. Indeed, those of us in the Faculty of Saint-Germain, we propose that that they don't think of housing in terms of individual housing, but they have to think of it in terms of housing in general, habitat. Because one of the things perhaps we should have thought about is why do we have housing that is disparate? How could we do so we can have housing that is in group in clusters instead of so disparate like everywhere? This is something that we're beginning to discuss about. There are two editions of our of a magazine that we came out with when we discussed that. We're going to work still. We're going to think also. We're going to work also on laws regarding urbanization. This is work that we're going to work also on. These are things that we're going. These are things that we're going to also work on. The issue that I have to answer to the issue of eviction. We work with these people so they can know their rights. We have to also say that before the people never talk about the right to have housing, decent housing. But after the work that we've done with them, nowadays people talk to you about Article 22 of the Constitution. But they say that they're supposed to have a decent housing. And the other thing that we have to also say is that those of us who are also working with the people, we are also in danger because of the work that we're doing. Because of the work that we're doing, I have to also tell you also because you know that governments in Haiti, they don't always see people who are working to defend human rights as with a good eye. For instance, with the global plan that the government has, and today, the development plan of the government, where in the areas where the government is building, which you call a tourist area, they're evicting a lot of people. 20,000 people are being evicted in an islet that is called Ilavash. When we went and to try to meet with the peasants, the interim agents of the government put there or followed us to see where we are, where we're going with those people, where we're going to talk to with the peasants. Personally, recently on last December 8th, they asked me not to do that kind of work anymore. With the people who work in the camp, they pulled the gun on me and they told me to stop working on these issues with people on the housing work that I was doing. Also, I have to say that this government, while we have all these problems, these issues, which is housing issues in Haiti, the Haitian government is destroying a lot of houses and kicking people out, as they just did in Port-au-Prince, where they just destroyed houses and kicked 60,000 people out of their houses. It is true that we're doing this work, and so the people can know their work. But also our work is also exposed, is also jeopardized by what the government is doing. What I could add as an element, as an addendum to the answer, to the response, as we talk about the people's human rights. There is a school that we're going to be called a permanent school for people to learn how to their rights. We have 2 sessions where during 4 months people come and we teach them about the function of the judicial system in Haiti and how they can defend their rights even if they don't have a lawyer with them, because we don't have a lot of lawyers who would agree to go with them and work with them pro bono without paying them. We call those guys popular jurists. This is the same system we have in Canada. Here we call them public defenders, or what we call here in this United States. We help those people and so they can articulate and defend their rights. On the issue of Haitian rights, it is not the constitution that is. It is not the constitution is not based on Napoleonic law. It is the codes. The codes are Napoleonic. We came up with a new constitution. The last one that we came up with was in 1987. There is one that we have now that they say that is amended. We say with all reservation because up until now, there's not one person who nobody has the amended version of the current Haitian constitution. There's a Haitian. I don't have. The Haitian constitution should be in 2 languages, but it's only in French. It's not. We have yet the Haitian version, the Creole version of the Haitian constitution is not yet amended. That's my own point of view about the Haitian constitution. These are the codes are Napoleonic, not the constitution. The Haitian constitution is not. I want to make sure that I'm very clear on that. Those who are holding the system. The very first enemy that you have, if you want real change in Haiti, we call them the lawyers. We have to say it's the lawyers because they are comfortable with the system. They are at their ease with the system. The judges have no problem with it. In other words, they have dealing with the issue of changing the way the judicial system proceeds in Haiti. It is not just changing a text of law. It is to rethink. It is to have a more in-depth thinking about the judicial system in Haiti. You have to also think about the issue of the language Creole Haitian. The very first lawsuit that I was defending, it was 17 young men who was in a criminal instance. None of them know how to read or write. One of them, I managed to get him free the first night. The police, he cried, and as he was crying, I asked him, "Why are you crying?" He said, "Because he's condemned." I said, "No, because you're free. You're free." He said he didn't understand what I was saying because I was speaking in French. In other words, the issue of language is a fundamental issue when it comes to the issue of law in Haiti. So even if you think you might think it's a small thing, if you're talking about changing the judicial system in Haiti, you have to think about this. For me to finish, I have to say after January 12, there were 22,000 U.S. military members who came to Haiti. So U.S. military soldiers came to Haiti. You as an American, how is it that 22,000 American soldiers came to Haiti after the catastrophe, and that money, and all that money from these airplanes, what they do is they account for it in the money that they give to Haiti, and to us that's an absurdity. This is why I say that you have to think very deeply about what they call international cooperation in Haiti. But in reality, it's something that they do throughout the world. That's how they do their computation, their accounting.
I just wanted to say I understand that the gentleman who spoke is also on the panel from the government. So I want to ask if you would incorporate your observations later on when you're in the panel. Is that okay? Which would give us, we have about 7 minutes. I would really like to give 2 quick questions, if you have, to the floor.
My name is Vino Milford. I work as a journalist and in investigation. I will be also on the panel. I'd like to add some of the based on the intervention of some of those people. When it comes to the program of those, I call them eviction, but like that is these are eviction, but that are hidden. If somebody gives you $500, for instance, they're going to kick you out. Nowadays, the government, also in complicity with international NGOs, they're obsessed with the necessity to get rid of the camps. They just want to get people out of the camps. This is one of the reasons why we see that we have President Michel Martelly. He said that he said 93% of people left the tent, but where did those people go? All those people now they went to build in shanty towns. They went to Jerusalem. They went to build in Monde Hospital. But also those people they don't find sustainable solution to their problem. The other point that I'd like to make is that it's a question of $500. Yes, what can you rent with the US $500? In the majority of cases, these are houses that they'll go to live in shanty towns, almost like in the same conditions that they used to live in. The other thing that I'd like to add is a question of impunity that we have when it comes to forced eviction. I think the gentleman was talking about it earlier. In the country, in Haiti, there are 50,000. There's more than 60,000 people that have been evicted. 50,000 of them have been expelled by the mayor of Delma. All the points out in international like Amnesty International, and also many groups, UN groups, ask us to end these kinds of eviction. I'd like for Kamala Jackson to explain to us why do they do that. The other thing I'd like to add is in relation to, like colleague Doug said, American militaries soldiers who came to Haiti after the earthquake. What's interesting about this is that for each US dollar, the US America at 1 penny from, it's like giving up one right and taking it from with left hand. The other issue is 5 years after the catastrophe, in what condition are the people who live under the tents? What are the conditions? That's all I had to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think that was an extremely good comment on which to end this session, because it seemed to me if we were to take away some of the messages from this panel, I particularly like one which was raised by Professor Eli, when he says that this problem that we have of housing is one that really must be framed in terms of creating a working habitat. And I take from that he means that it must involve the cultural, educational, and social expressions of the peoples of Haiti, which would deal with what Bob said in his comment, that you will be involving people in the development of their habitat, the people who really matter. Secondly, I think that what a message which came out of this panel is the need to treat this issue, the housing issue, as a human rights, as an issue for human rights, especially in the context of the urbanization, of the lack of codes, and of the lack of legal regulations with respect to housing, and the involvement and the need to involve civil society in the construction of reasonable programs that would help to alleviate the situation. And the last of the takeaways that I really got from this particular panel was our need for greater collaboration, what you would call shared responsibility among governments, the private sector, and civil society. Now this then takes us into the panel to come. But I think if there was a takeaway that was important, was the need for that kind of collaboration. I want to thank you for your patience, but I also want, most of all, for you to acknowledge the very important contribution by the panelists, Professor Jackson and Patrice.